Hello, so today I'm going to start with a little history lesson. During World War II, the Tachikawa Aircraft Company was making airplanes for the Japanese Army, and they had an electric car division that later on in 1952 became the Prince Motor Company. So what we're looking at are Nissan Skylines made by Prince Motor Company, and this happens to be a 1965 model. The development of this car started in 1964 when they wanted to chase the GT2 class of the Japanese Grand Prix. So what they did is they took out the inline four-cylinder and they shoehorned an inline six-cylinder, 2 liters, up front. But it did require them to stretch out the front end 200 millimeters or around 4 inches. So that's the history behind this car and how it came about. Now, what we're looking at, the red car is a Konami branded model, and then the white and red roof, that's a Kyosho model. So we'll take a closer look and see which one's a little bit better or worse. Um, I can put them on my little board here. We'll see if this thing works or not. So dimensionally, they're both off. I looked up the dimensions of the real car, and the Konami's a tiny bit small, and the Kyosho's around the same, too much big, that is. So there should be a diecast in between the two if it wants to be perfect. So I guess if dimensions matter to you, I'm not sure which is better, to be honest with you. They're both off by roughly the same amount. So really for me, it's just about which one just looks nicer. So while we're at it, let's just look at the rear end. So the rear end, you can see the taillights of the white Kyosho are much bigger than the taillights of the red Konami. And looking at photos of the real car, I do believe the Kyosho is more accurate to have the bigger taillights. Now, one thing that's not so accurate is the black exhaust tips on the Kyosho, because the real car has chromed exhaust tips, so Konami wins there. Build quality on the Konami, not so great. You can see the warped rear bumper of this Konami, but the Kyosho is pretty much flat, so that's good. Also, it does seem like the printing of the rear badge is a little more crisp and well defined on the Kyosho, on the trunk here. That just looks nicer than what's going on there. Okay, so let's take a look at the front here, because I'm going to take these off the board. Okay, so again, if you look at the badge here in the front hood, that Kyosho one is just nice and crisply printed on, whereas the Konami, it has a raised die-cast bulge and they hit it with silver. So I think Kyosho wins again. Okay, and also, I'm not sure why this Konami has this dot here. I don't see that dot in photos of the real car or videos of the real car, so I think Kyosho wins again. Okay, so looking at the grille here, they're actually quite similar. But again, build quality of the Konami, not so great. This bumper is warped or off at an angle. Kyosho is pretty much flat, so that's good there. Okay. You might notice that the height of the car, again, the Kyosho car dimensionally is just larger. It has a taller roof. Hopefully you can see right there. It is a little bit taller of a car, but again, I'm not sure which is more accurate. They're both kind of off. Okay, so I'll take these off here because we gotta try to look at them sideways. Okay, so Konami's on top, Kyosho's on the bottom. Now, immediately you notice the wheels. The real car has chromed hubcaps or chromed wheels, whereas the Konami is just painted silver. So I think Kyosho wins there. Again, the printing and the silver line are much nicer, and the door handles seem to be better done than the Konami. One plus about Konami is they have the suspension axles, so that's kind of neat. But if you're not going to play with your car, I guess it doesn't matter so much. So I also noticed that the window trim on the silver here, the Kyosho, is nicely defined, where it's kind of running off on the red here on the Konami. It's not so great. Okay. Underneath, Konami is nothing. Nothing there. Okay. Well, Kyosho always has their brand and what the car is, so that's nice. And extra molded details. Now look at the tires. So the Konami looks like it has modern tires, relatively wide in proportion to the body. I think Kyosho is probably more accurate, because cars from the 60s had pretty skinny tires. So I think this is probably correct, or more closer to correct than whatever the real car rolled on. Okay, so I guess that's it. I think if I were to, pick a money no object, I'd go with the Kyosho. But Kyoshos also do tend to command a higher price on eBay or wherever you buy your used diecast cars. But it's up to you to decide which you want to go for. Better quality and probably more expensive, or still a great looking car, just not as accurate in my opinion. Okay then, so I hope to see you guys later. Bye.